Good morning, everyone. I'm Vyom Jayaswal, founder Eduglobe Consultants, and today we are going to talk about MBBS in Russia. We have with us a very special guest, Mrs. Anna,
Hello, everyone.
and today we are going to ask her all the questions that the parents and the students have when they are planning to study in Russia. So, first of all, ma'am, welcome to our channel.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your invitation. I'll be ready to share some information with all people who are interested in it.
And I'd like you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about the university as well.
Sure. My name is Anna Yanovskaya. I'm the Director of Admissions for international students, especially students from India, of Synergy University, Russia. We are originally the Russian university who has also 3 international campuses, but our main demand currently from India is to Moscow, to our main campus. We are the only Russian university who has official admission team, and also Indian team and Russian team here constantly in India, and we are glad to welcome Indian students. About university itself, we are top private university in Russia. We are number 1 by the quantity of international students and number 1 choice of international students as well. We are top 3 universities by the statistics of hh.ru. It's a website which controls how fast our students find the job after graduation. And our students, 98% of our students do this within first 5 months upon graduation. Also, we are the only university who has all licenses and accreditations and WHO accreditation for medical faculty. No other private university in Russia has it, but we proved that we have professionals, we have enough equipment, we have all needed to meet all the guidelines, including the guidelines of Indian government as well. So MCI, which now is NMC, yes, we meet all these guidelines and we are totally fine with the Indian requirements as well, not only Russian.
Okay, so that is great to know that the university ranks very high in the global rankings as well as one of the best in Russia as well.
Sure.
So, as you told me that the university has a campus in Moscow. So this is something that the students and the parents should note, because what happens is a lot of times, Russia being a big country,
yes,
people have a lot of options in Russia. But what they don't understand is that there is a direct flight from Delhi to Moscow. But if you want to go to the farther regions of Russia, you face a lot of challenges. So you will take a flight from Delhi to Moscow, and then from Moscow either you will take a train, which will sometimes be as long as a day, or
2 or 3
and or you will take a flight which will be another 7 to 10 hours.
Well, yeah, so if we're talking about Moscow, we shouldn't talk only about like infrastructure, how to get to Moscow, but also what distinguishes Moscow from other cities.
Sure.
First of all, in Russia, we have 11 time zones only. And if we're talking about climate, when we think about Russia, we think about something very cold, very serious, but we don't need to forget that Moscow is located in the European part of Russia. We're not talking about here, like Siberia, or Irkutsk, or somewhere north, like Arkhangelsk, for example, even St. Petersburg, which is loved by international students, but climate is really hard. When we're talking about Moscow, it's more to the mild climate of Europe. We're talking about such cities like Berlin or Munich, the closest ones. It's the first one, the climate. Second one, it's the capital. The capital which has the headquarters of all the companies, international companies. And if we're talking like frank with you, we all heard something like Russia is under some economical sanctions, something like that. It's not totally true. We still have all international companies in place. They're in very need of people who speak English and who speak Russian. When we're talking about Moscow, we're not forgetting about that, because, you know, a lot of state medical universities are located in smaller towns. We're not going to give the names, but usually it's the biggest enterprise, a biggest place where students can go in the city. They don't have anything like big malls, I don't know, cinemas, Indian restaurants even, or even some places to work part-time. Mostly, usually these cities have the university, because historically it's like this, and some factory, but we don't see the high demand of English-speaking people at some factories, right? And that's why usually international students, in a year, in a two, if they have chosen not Moscow, they come back to Moscow anyways, just because of the comfort of living and like maybe the level how they feel. They feel like I don't know, in Europe or like in States, just because of the level and comfort and the money which you can make there.
Oh, that's very true, because I've been to Moscow a couple of times and I've seen that how different it is from other parts of Russia.
For
So
sure.
that is very true. And so, can you shed some light on what is the fees per year for MBBS course?
Well, if we are talking about MBBS course in Moscow particularly, it can be costly, but our university sticks to the mindset that we need to give the affordable education on very high level. So we are trying to keep the prices around 4,000 USD per semester. Sometimes we have special offers and early bird calls for Indian market, especially because we experience high demand and we really appreciate Indian students, because traditionally we have close ties in medical sphere, in pharmacy sphere with India, and we are trying to make it affordable and super special for our Indian students particularly to study at our MBBS program. So that's the average price which we are offering, and we are trying to keep it like this. And our rector knows always about all our Indian students, because we come with the request for some special offer, special price, individual transfer organized from the airport, the meeting from university, because it's important for us to welcome the student right away when they landed in Moscow. So we do give extra cool things. And we do understand that it's not typical for Russian universities, but we are providing not only the high level of education, but also we provide the high level of service, which we understand when we're talking, for example, about Canada and USA. We do meet at the airport, organize individual transfers, have the helpline. Student support team is in contact 24/7. They have the WhatsApp number and they are contacted in advance to choose the accommodation, all the documents. So pretty much neither parents nor students are very nervous before coming, because they have all the procedure very clear.
Okay, so coming to your accommodation, so how costly is the hostel? What is the per annual fees of the hostel? And what is the annual fee of the mess?
Well, when we're talking about Russia, we're talking not about annual fee. We're talking about monthly fees. We start from 10,000 rubles, which is now equal to rupees. Yes. But usually our students, especially if we're talking about medicine students, they choose accommodations from our partner networks. From around 15,000, because it's the most comfortable balance of the quality and the cost. Of course, all our accommodations are by the metro, have their own kitchens and all the facilities, but we give the full handbook for students to feel comfortably. Why it's important to stay with us, not to look by themselves first at least 3-4 months, but usually students stay longer. When we're talking about Russia, we're talking about study visa. Study visa is given always for 3 months only.
Okay.
After that, they come, they start studying, and the university itself extends the visa. For extension, we need to give this paper, which is called registration, which is basically official informing government of Russia where do you stay, where do you live. And for some accommodations, it can be a problem because they're not used to this. All our partners know what to do and how to act in such situations. They provide us these registrations within first 4 days, if I'm not mistaken, and we can extend the visa. It's very important. That's why it's taken care of. We do have accommodations by different budgets, especially if we're talking about September intake, because it's a classical intake for degree programs. And if students are not taken too long, so please don't take too long, like when they try to arrive in the second part of October or November, it's too late. If they come in the end of August, September, they totally have the good choice of accommodations which is provided by our university.
Okay, and how far generally are these accommodations from the campus?
Well, usually we try to make it not very far. But when we're talking about Moscow, we're talking about infrastructure and we're talking about metro. Our accommodations, the main requirement is not to be close to medical campus, because, for example, this year we have medical campus on different metro station because we needed the bigger building. So we made the bigger building and moved our medical faculties there. But we require them to be close to the metro because that way you will not take more than 30-40 minutes for commuting to university. For Moscow, it's totally fine. I was living in Moscow. Now I'm more often in India, but when I was there, it was about last March, I think, almost a year now. And it was 58 kilometers from my home to the campus where we work. It took me 31 minutes, just because I was living 100 meters from the entrance, yes. And that's why it's important to understand in advance as well. It's important to check the map of metro, because within this year they have opened 20 more stations. And I went to Moscow for a few days in February, and sometimes it can be very surprising, because, you know, when was the last time you were in Moscow?
It has been 2 years now.
2 years, so you need to come one more time for sure, because we have everything like developing very fast. So going back to the question, our main idea is to be close to metro and to understand how to commute fastly to the metro. Then we don't have any issues, because students get the special discount for their metro card, Troika, or for students. And it's always very easy for them, because this card works for buses, electrobuses, and tram, and metro, everything.
Public transport.
Yeah, so basically it's not very important to be close to campus. It's very important to be close to metro. That's my main idea.
Okay. And can you tell us what is the generic cost of food per month in Moscow?
Well, again, depends. If you want to eat in the Indian restaurant, you might spend, I don't know, like 400 USD, if we're talking in USD. But if we're talking about cooking and the products which are available, by my experience living in India, we don't have so many difference. The only difference can be, for example, if we're talking about seasonal vegetables, which we don't have the high season always, like you here. In winter, for example, it can be a little bit more costly. But I would say that it's approximately the same if you cook for yourself. What I recommend always to our students is we have a lot of Indian shops now. We have a lot of Indian products on marketplace. For example, you can find masala chai mixture like this, bakri. You can find it on Wildberries, which is the most important most famous marketplace of Russia. And it's very easy now to find Indian products and feel like you are at home when you're there. But first, I advise students to take some masalas, some spices, so that they don't spend time on looking for it first few months when they're there. Everything else we have, and almost by the same prices, which is in India.
That is very, that is something that the students always look forward to.
Of course.
That they can find some good Indian food wherever they go. So that is something that adds to the advantage as well. Can you tell us how does internship take place at a university? Do you have hospitals that are attached to you, or you have your own hospital?
Yeah. Now we're coming to one more main advantage of being private university in Russia and studying at private university medicine. We have partner network, not only of state hospitals, but also of private hospitals. And in Russia, private hospital, the same as private university, makes their own money. They don't take money from budget or take money from government taxpayers. Usually, these companies, institutions, hospitals, universities have more money to invest. And that's why our students have the access not only to state university or state medical institutions, but also to private ones. And private ones usually have more part-time job offers. They have more modern equipment, and they have patients who speak English. And they are in need sometimes even of professionals who speak Hindi as well. So this is our advantage. By study plan in Russia is the same for any MBBS program. By study plan, they need to start as soon as possible the internship. We're not talking about last year of MBBS. We're talking about some easy internships during first year, and the very massive ones start from the third year of education. And by third year, they already know Russian on decent level, because our study plan has Russian as the main, also one of the main subjects when we're talking about like studying in our university, because they need to communicate with state hospitals, they need to communicate with patients, and we need to understand everything what's going on around them. For that, which is very important, to learn Russian as well. So that's why we meet all NMC requirements, because in total we have even more than 1 year of internship, which is important to have if you plan to come back and to work in India. Though not a lot of people do that. By our experience, a lot of them stay at least for 10 years, 15 years to practice, to gain experience, and sometimes open their own companies, their own medical institutions. We're not only talking about hospitals in Russia, because in comparison with India, if you are not Russian in Russia, it's rather easy if you know the procedure to open your own business, not only medical related, but in India here you still need to have some Indian CEO, or there are some regulations. In Russia, if you're officially in Russia, if you are under student visa, even if you have temporary residence permit or just residence permit, then it's not a problem.
Oh, that's interesting to know. So can you talked about NMC?
Yes.
So what is the duration of the course that we have?
We have 6 years course.
6 years course. So that is 5 years plus
5
1
plus
year's
1,
experience.
almost as NMC dreams about. Yes, correct.
Okay. And then you were talking about opening your own clinic or medical institution in Russia. So what are the opportunities, what are the career opportunities that a student has after completing MBBS at a university?
Well, if we're talking about one exact pathway, of course, it will not be suitable for everyone. It depends on person career expectations, I would say. It's possible to start part-time working at medical related institutions, even while you're studying. Officially, you don't need, if you have study visa and you study at MBBS, you don't need any additional work permit. You need it's called spravka, basically like a paper from university which proves that you are the student. And you're eligible to work officially part-time up to 20 hours in any institution. Usually students choose to start doing that during their studies. I strongly not recommend to start from the first year, otherwise it will be hard to study, because you will have Russian, you will have anatomics, which is a lot of hours and a lot of things to know. But usually by graduation, students already have some job offer someplace. And they also usually have already residence permit. Residence permit equals to citizenship. The only difference, they are not allowed to vote. Yes. So that's the main idea of us. Some people, they plan to go back to India. For that, they need to already have successful NEET pass before they apply for MBBS. And they come back and work here. Some people, they plan to build career in Russia. So I cannot tell you like the exact pathway. I can tell you that we have career center, we have internships. So each student, according to his wish, he can do everything possible and become what he wants. I mean, if he wants to work full-time, he will. If he wants to open his own and he has budget for that, he will be able to do this. No one will stop him from this. If he wants to go back, it's okay. He will come back and start after some procedures here in India. He will start working here as well. But for me, from my point of view, it's more logical to start and to gain some experience in Russia.
Okay. And what about the post-study work permit?
Yes, I have touched a little bit this topic already. Basically, it's clear and very easy now in Russia. They come under study visa within, I think usually they are allowed after like half a year, but I usually advise like after a year or two to start applying for temporary residence permit. Temporary residence permit is issued for 3 years. During these 3 years, they can apply for residence permit.
Right.
A residence permit is not restricted by time. It doesn't have the expiration date, nothing like this. And it's given forever, in case you are not violating some strict rules or whatever. and it equals to citizenship. Of course, if you want, you can proceed with the citizenship as well. It's also possible, but usually upon graduation, before graduation, students already have some kind of residence permit, not temporary, but usual one. And we're not talking about post-study visa because they have more than that already and not restricted by time.
So that is something that is not available in most of the countries where
For
students
sure.
go.
Yes, if we're talking about our other campuses like Malaysia, like Dubai, their policies are a little bit different.
Right.
And it's very important to have job offer. Like in Moscow, it's not related to job offer. Of course, you need to report once in a year, like where officially you make money, but it's not about job. It's about good application process and doing everything beforehand. After then, you have everything fine and you're totally fine.
Okay. And you touched on the topic of career center.
Yes.
So that is something very interesting to know that you have a career center at the university.
Well, yes, because our main idea as a Synergy University is to not only provide the theoretical knowledge, but to give our students, we call it return of investments. If they or their parents invested in education, they need to understand how they will take it back. And for that, we understand that nowadays in the modern society and the modern work climate, we need to give some hands-on skills and some internships and everything so that they can be very professional upon graduation. And for that, we start to educate our students, not only international students, but also Russian students. We have career centers. Main idea is that we do have a lot of partners, but partners are sending us job offers, we are offering our students, but sometimes for students it's more important not to have some exact job offer, but the understanding of how you need to organize your CV, what picture you need to choose, because here in India we also hire, and we do understand that not a lot of people, especially young professionals, they understand how to do this. And for that, also our career center is very of demand to make them understand general rules, because even like I'm with Synergy for more than 6 years. I really don't know what's going on now on the market, and I really will need some career consultation if one day, let's say, I will go to the market, because the rules are changing. They need to understand that. They need to understand the mentality. Even they need to understand which websites they can look at for some job. That's why for this, we have career center, and of course for network of partners, and it's more about internships, because if we're sending someone to internship, we need to offer a place of internship.
True.
So that's for what our career centers needed. Each campus has its own career center, and also it's called like a student client center, something like that, where they can come and ask any question related to document which we discussed, like the document which proves that they're the student or something like that. We do have this as well.
Okay. So, ma'am, can you tell us how many Indian students are currently studying at Synergy University?
So in total, if we're talking about 2024, we have about 350 students, and also hundreds are annually for our short immersion programs. We're talking about academic exchange for 10 days, 14 days to Moscow. When they come, they have academic hours. They have industrial visits, and also some tourism, also some excursions, everything. And this is very popular with Indian institutions, because as we all know, we need to have some international exposure.
Okay. And so the next question, which is very important, is about the safety of the students.
Okay.
Because, and especially when the parents are sending their daughters,
of
so
course,
they have
not only daughters, maybe sons as well.
So they have a big concern regarding the safety. So can you tell us how safe Moscow is for the students?
I do understand this question, and I'm really appreciate that you have asked, because we also work with parents. We understand it will be very important. If we're talking in general about Russia, it's not like it doesn't have the high level of crime or something like that. It's very comfortable, because we do understand, as you already know, we have 11 time zones, but also we have more than 10 of official religions. And we understand that we need to be very tolerant, and pretty much we're very used to living, for example, Muslims with Christians and some other religions is becoming more and more popular, because there are some regions in Russia who are purely Buddhism, let's say, and or Muslim, and for this we do understand that. But of course, I understand what was the main idea of your question about nowadays situation, and including some things which is going on with our neighbors. So when you hear such question, what I recommend to do? I recommend to go on maps and check the location of Moscow and how far is it from the border. And if you will check, it will be 2,500 kilometers. 2,500 kilometers, how far it will be? Like Kerala, if we're talking from Delhi. So it's totally safe. Don't forget that Moscow is the place of residence of our president. How can the residence of our president be not safe? And also, of course, we're talking about being far. And Moscow is not affected at all by this situation. Still, we have all direct flights, a lot of companies, and don't forget, we have a lot of students. We have more than 20,000 of international students in 2024. So what can be done also for parents to feel more safe, for students to be more safe, like feel more safe? I always recommend not to believe on some news which are created not like by Russia or even not by India. If we go on Instagram, if we will check Moscow and search last, let's say, reels by the geotag, like Moscow, we will find all the current situation in Moscow, the weather, everything, and they can check how are the festivals going on now. Like we have the major festival in December and in January. It's to New Year and Christmas, but it takes for like almost 2 months in Moscow when it's all decorated and all beautiful. It's like Russian Diwali, and they can look at it, how many people we have, how many foreign tourists we have, how many foreign people we have, because there are even some blogs where people just live in Russia, from Australia, from Britain, from United States. There is one guy, he's very popular now in Russia, he's from United States, and he's going around Moscow and making video shooting, because of course if I will post, you will understand that I'm just maybe trying to make it better. But if you go and just scroll, and this what I advise to do to everyone, to double check the situation, to double check the information, to check the current situation in cultural segment, let's say, because if something was not very good, then people will not be having fun in streets or something like that. So these are the just practical advice what to do in order to be more confident in your choice.
So that is very true, because that is what we tell the parents who come to us for this advice. So we give a very simple example that, for example, there is some escalation at Indian border across Jammu. So there is no problem in Delhi as such. So this is what is happening, and then also it is 2,500 kilometers as you said.
Yes, well, basically, if we're talking about nowadays situation, unfortunately, it's very hard to find any country without any conflict going on the borders, or even not on the borders. So that's why what I can tell you, that now everything is fine, everything is safe, and totally students are coming, and for the majority of students, they feel safer in Russia, and not only in Moscow, but in Russia in general, than in their home country. I don't know if it's good or bad, but that's what we hear from our students.
Perfect. Can you tell us about other courses other than MBBS? What are your specialities? What courses are the most popular at Synergy University?
Well, I will be glad to. Well, our main focus for international students are the programs which are their top choice, and that's why we have them in English language medium. Basically, it's MBBS dentistry, and we offer one more program which is BBA.
Okay.
And this program also a unique one, because first of all, Synergy started as a business school in 1988. We're still the strongest institution, like university, with the strongest business faculty, not only in Russia but in all CIS countries. And that's why it was the top choice of our students. Bachelor degree, it's very affordable by tuition fee, and it's in English right away. They also study Russian. They do not only have thesis to protect upon graduation, but they need to provide the business plan, which will be approved by our professors. So main idea, they usually already have something going on, functioning some business in Russia or in India upon graduation, or they have this clear plan what to do in order to make such. It's a bachelor degree. It's 4 years, more than enough to learn the mentality, to understand if you need to have business your own, or you want to be a top management, if you want to proceed with Russia, or you want to become someone in India as well. So this is very popular program. We have already the first graduate, so it's for more than 5 years. It's already, which we have. But unfortunately, from India, again, we don't have so much high demand. The majority is usually from African countries, like Nigeria, Tanzania, Ghana. We have Egyptian guys there. We have some Arabic speaking people there as well. And we had during this time like 3 or 4 students from India, but we totally understand that now our main goal is to have more Indian, because this program is perfect. Okay. But of course, we shouldn't forget that we have more than 30 faculties which are providing 1,000 plus programs, and they are in Russian. And if student wants to study something like space engineering, which we also provide, robotechnics, or something related to economics, I don't know, logistics, anything which you can think of, and even like unmanned power, like how it's called in basically the technologies when we're talking about drone technologies. We have this faculty as well, among the first ones and the only who have this faculty. They can study there as well. But for that, they need the Russian language pathway program for 1 year. It's possible as well. But for now, what we have been experiencing from students from India, main focus are BBA and MBBS. And few requests, of course, for pathway language programs, so that they're free to choose during being in Russia and what exactly they want to do, choosing something unique, which is not that popular and exposed here in India, so that when they come back, they will be of demand.
True. And what is the fee of BBA program?
Well, currently we're talking about a special offer. I don't know how fast you will publish this podcast, but basically till the end of April, we have the special offer. You can call it early bird call, which is 1.3 lakh per semester. Okay. It's totally like very affordable.
Oh, it is cheaper than a lot of universities in India.
So. Well, yes, we are trying to make the more affordable prices again. Not only, of course, not only for Indian students, but Indian students as well. We're trying to invite very actively. That's why we have these till the end of April. Later, it will be 1.5 lakh. Okay. And if we count for 4 years, 8 semesters, we can understand how much students can save if they're totally sure that they will go abroad this year and that they need to get the education in Russia. One more cool thing about this program is that this program is evening studies mode. Basically, usually the education starts, of course, they will go to university 5 times per day or per week, and they will have the same hours of classes, but they start at about 6 or 7 p.m. Okay. Usually students like it and they ask for it because that way they can work on their business during daytime, or they can do part-time job as well. And it's easier for them to find some morning or daytime work. So yeah, that's why I really believe that this year we will have the increase in the numbers of students from India, and we'll be very glad about it.
So any piece of advice for the students and their parents who are planning to study MBBS in Russia?
Well, if we're talking about studying an MBBS in Russia, first of all, like my main advice is to give yourself time to understand that you are going abroad, that you are going to Russia, that you are going for medical education. I'm always saying that we need to start enrollment process not later than May. Of course, we have people who apply later. But this way, psychologically, you will be ready to go to Russia. And I left home. I went for 1 year exchange program to United States when I was 15. And if I hadn't, like, didn't have these 4 months of time before my flight, I will be even more homesick than I was. So it's important when we're talking about young people, about first time going or leaving their parents, because in India you have very strong ties with your family. It's totally cool, but sometimes you need to go far away. And you need this time to understand where you're going, to check everything, to be prepared, to understand the procedure. So main advice is, of course, to take some spices with you when you fly, and also to arrange everything in advance. And if you're sure that you're going, and if you haven't yet passed NEET examination, we don't need it to enroll. You need just to give yourself this time to psychologically be ready to leave your parents, to be very grown up, to do a lot of things on yourself. Of course, we provide the support, and there is a strong community of Indian citizens in Moscow especially, but still you need to give yourself this time to make everything smooth, to make everything according to the rules, not only university but the rules of government where you go, or to study these rules. So it's not hard, you just need some time. So my main idea is to give yourself time, not to try to do everything at once immediately and so on. We don't have this mentality to act like this. For that, we just need to give ourselves time and clear procedure. And I'm sure you will help the students with that as well.
Definitely. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful insights. You have been a great help.
Thank you for giving me such opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, everyone, for watching this. Thank you.
For queries regarding overseas education, contact us at 9899566002, 9999566002, or email at vyom@eduglobeconsultants.com.